Hey guys, Dwayne here. Today I want to talk a little bit about talking to people who don't really understand or have experience with narcissistic abuse and either narcissistic exes or narcissistic family of origins. You have to be really careful who you share some of your information with and some of your story with, because this situation is so unusual and bizarre that people who don't have the context or the experience to be able to relate, they really can't relate. It's really very complicated, and they can actually be not helpful, because some of the things that you need to do when trying to recover from narcissistic abuse and to protect yourself, a lot of people aren't really going to understand. I mean, for instance, we all know that going no contact, although very difficult if you have kids, then you have to do the hybrid no contact that we've talked about before. But that's really important, right? And if you're trying to talk to somebody who doesn't understand, they are not going to they're not going to relate to why you're doing it, why it's necessary, and they will probably give you feedback that you're doing the wrong thing and that you need to take steps to try to communicate and be the bigger person and stuff like that. And as we all know, if you're going through this, that is unfortunately one of the worst things you can do, because it leaves you in that pattern of abuse, and then gives the abuser the opportunity to continue the abuse. It's really tough, right? I mean, because in a normal situation, what you would want to say without having this experience, the normal advice that you would hear, and you probably have heard, is you guys need to stop being silly. You need to stop doing, you need to stop playing these games. You need to think about the kids. You need to stop being immature. All these things. And maybe in a situation where everyone is just angry and you're not dealing with a personality disorder, okay, that's reasonable advice, right? The problem is, and as we all know, if you're dealing with somebody who does have these traits, that is not a good thing. So that goes back to the initial point of this topic is that people, don't necessarily understand, and you need to be careful on who you let into the details of what's going on, because with them trying to be helpful, they're going to give you advice that isn't really in your best interest or even your kid's best interest. I mean, it's really frustrating. Like I said, they are not going to understand what you need to do, right? And to be perfectly honest, even if somebody had not had this experience and you sent them to my site or any of the other sites like Richard's sites or Sam's site, Sam Vaknin, all those other sites, if they don't have the experience with this and haven't been through it, it's not going to make any sense to them. They'll look at it and they'll think it's crazy. And then it doesn't necessarily help you. So you have to be careful of who you actually trust and you let in on what's going on. Now, depending on where you're at on this, if you've already been going through this a while, then there's probably a good chance that you've already opened up to somebody and you've already experienced the mistake of talking to the wrong person and then getting advice to do things that are just really not going to work. So if you're in that category, you probably have already learned who you can talk to and who you can't talk to, and you've already made adjustments on that. That's a good thing. If you haven't, and if this is a new concept or a new idea, you really need to take a step back, evaluate who in your support system is really helpful and who you can trust with this information and who you need to hold that information back. It's super important, because you have to keep your support system helping you helping you go in the right direction. Now, if you have people who you really can't trust with this information, that doesn't mean that you need to, go no contact with them. If they're just normal friends and associates or whatever, but they just don't have the experience or the concept of narcissistic abuse and cluster B and personality disorders, you just don't talk to them about it. You leave that conversation basically off the table, and you go out and you have fun with them. You go out to dinner, or you talk about different stuff, and you leave the details of the conversation out, right? In that situation, if someone asks you how things are going, you can just say, well, it's getting better, because hopefully it is. But it's still rough, and hey, we're out. I'm taking a break. Let's not focus on that. Let's talk about other things, or do other things, or whatever it is you're doing. So you can still use those people as distractions to help you through it. Now, your best bet is if you have somebody within your inner circle, in your a physical friend that you can interact with, who does understand this, so that you can have these conversations and they can in real time be supportive and support you on doing things like when you are going no contact, or you are going hybrid no contact, or you're doing your gray rock technique, or you're having those bad days where you start questioning yourself, but they understand it enough to say, hey, you're having a bad day, just take a step back, you're doing the right thing, you're reminiscing about stuff that's not really true. But see, here's the thing: if somebody doesn't understand it, they're not going to necessarily give that advice. So, bottom line is you really have to be careful of who you communicate this with. And the other caveat on this is, even if somebody does have some knowledge and some experience with this, if they are not necessarily in the same with the same background and the same path, for instance, some of us have family of origin issues, which are very narcissistic and have personality disorders. So there is an approach that we need to take to protect ourselves, right? Somebody who doesn't have that experience and has a supportive family, the idea of basically going no contact or pushing your family out of the picture seems completely wrong, and you can actually get advice saying, hey, you can't do that. That's your brother, that's your sister, that's your mom, that's your dad. So I guess the point of it is you really have to be aware of who you're talking to, what their experiences are, and then be able to kind of dynamically gauge where they fit within your support system, and what you can share with them and what you cannot share with them to help you, right? Because the problem is that if you are going through this, you are going through this, but going through this and having people not support you, not support the steps that you need to take to protect yourself, makes it really hard, right? Especially early on, because you're going to be questioning yourself on how you're doing it and how you're approaching it. You're going to be questioning yourself whether is this person really a person? Does this person really have a personality disorder? Maybe I'm just embellishing it. Maybe I'm blowing it out of proportion. And in that stage, somebody coming along and just telling you that you are, and that they're not that bad, or whatever, can complicate your recovery and make things actually worse. So want to wrap this up. Thought this was an important topic to talk about. It's actually come up in the last couple of days with a couple different people I've been talking to, and wanted to reiterate it. I know I've kind of talked about that a little bit in other videos, but hey, sometimes it's good to revisit old material, to talk about it in a little bit different way, and to just keep that conversation going. So speaking of conversations, if you have something you want to add on that, on how you've dealt and been able to determine how a person fits into your support system, leave it in a comment below. If you appreciate this video, give it a thumbs up. If this channel is helping you, please subscribe, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.